It's crazy. This is actually on their album right here.
Well, he's sort of, I'm driving on the road, he has a sleeve, sort of, that's ready for the gig. I'm driving on the road, he has a sleeve. Aye, aye. Ready for the gig. I'm driving on the road, he has a sleeve.
What I'm learning about Nicholson is he learned to talk without moving his head a whole lot. I was watching my impression of Jack Nicholson the other day on one of my vlogs. Yes, he did move his voice around, but he didn't move his head around a whole lot. Because back then when they first started on 35mm, the camera could, or the film could smear. You had to be very still around the camera. I'm the driver, I'm the winner, I know where I'm going. This song was called And I Called Mama. And I called Mama. Watch the lips on it. And I called Mama. Buy one, get one. Well, I told that lady in there that was at the counter, I said, I like that song that they called, that song that was on the radio that I called Mom. It kind of made me cry. She said, oh, she had like a lip ring and all this kind of, she's like Quentin Tarantino character. You know, the one that they're giving her the hypodermic needle in the chest. You know, the chick with all the lip ring stuff. But she's still kind of cute. All right, we got everything locked in. I was watching Matt Under the Radar, man. Well, actually, it's Radar Under the Van. I also call him Matt. Let me get my napkin. I sent him a few messages about don't pick at that blister on the heel because he does a lot of jogging and Planet Fitness. Hang on, just give me a second. I recently had a horrible blister. I'll tell you how I got it. Because I woke up one morning with plantar fasciitis. Give me a second. I wrote about it in Rib. Parentheses are dogged out, close parentheses dash Shepherds of Alaska. This is probably going to turn off. So I told him, I said, don't pick at that blister on the heel. You don't want to pick at the blister. That's what the doctor told me. I had a big old bubble on the back of my heel a long time ago, and I had to wear a slipper when I did DoorDash. It was basically like it was an OP, nearly a flip-flop. It was a sandal. I like these. I sold this to myself because I saw me drinking and I was like, I'm gonna get another one of them. When I watched that last vlog, the last one, I thought it was pretty good. I liked it. It's when I was playing Suicide and all that kind of stuff. That band Suicide. It's a band that Bruce Springsteen listened to. Well, at least they showed him listening to it. Jeremy Allen White did. He might have listened to it, I don't know. Bruce Springsteen, like, what the hell is this? He said in the movie theater, I didn't listen to Suicide. Suicide's a crazy band. They got that Rocket USA song. They got like a weird beat. All their music was made for art studios. They were to play it in art studios. We're gonna get fucking messy. Got my jalapeno. Yeah, I messaged Matt. Said, you watch my vlogs? Did you watch me eat my pizza? He only eats a banana. There's a Pink Floyd song. It's a Pink Floyd song. Called something breakfast. It's a guy eating breakfast and he starts frying eggs in the song. But it's on one of their albums. Something about eating breakfast. It's kind of like a breakfast burrito. See if I can find it. Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast. It's the album that has a, I don't know, it has it's a weird cover on the album. Pink Floyd album. It's stuck on the Stranger Things thing. I'll show you. So it's stuck on that one. That's the correct one. Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast. Adam Hartmother. I mean, basically, your dogs are going to be choking on carbon monoxide, you know. And hey, it's your dog. If Fluffy wants to die a horrible death, look at your dog in the eyes. Sir, would you look down at your dog in your eyes? And your dog is looking in your eyes. Now look at your dog and tell your dog, you're going to die of horrible carbon monoxide poisoning unless I get this 80T carbon monoxide detector with this brains of the operation panel. 7-inch panel with cellular connection. Now come on and tell me, and tell Fluffy, is that what you want? Now look at Fluffy, now look at me. What will it be? You just sign that dotted line. On Elm, if I'm not mistaken, we did the mosh pit in this house right here. The garage apartment was over there. They moved the garage in that house, I think, or it was this one. Both garages don't face outward on that one either. It was a garage add-on. They had a mosh pit in there. It was just a mosh pit to like Misfits and stuff like that. We were in Helton Scotch Guard. Maybe, I don't remember. But that was in one of those houses, right down the street from Heather Essex's house. Yeah, they added on to that.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom.
When you're down, this is a song.
Hello? Hello? They actually do that. In the story, yeah, they have run where he is. In the story, they could look for Nutty. Whether they find him or not. Yeah, those two squirrels are like right behind, too. They ran right through here in the story. They scrape up Nutty off of the ground. Nutty the squirrel starts off pretty much like that. See, Rome did fall. Rome fell. And people don't realize this. There was a time in the way that the world and the history and time works that Rome didn't exist anymore. There was no Roman guard. There was like a moment of just, what are we going to do? Right? There was a new home without Rome. Now, is Rome still here? Oh, sure it is. It rebuilt. Took a long time to rebuild, though. But what happened was the Roman Guard was overthrown. Now, the National Guard, which is what we have, they tried, but they didn't have the training that the Roman guards had. They had a thing called, is one of the guys that had Paul, Apostle Paul, and also known as Saint Paul. They were Praetorian guards. They were also known as the Kingsmen. They were like Navy SEALs almost. But they were also political and stuff like that. They were very powerful men. They chained Paul to him because they started realizing there probably was a God. Yeah. How did this guy keep getting out of prison? What was going on? How did this guy, there was an earthquake and he got out, and then there was another thing. This is all documented, okay? So the Praetorian Guard got the message from Paul. He didn't get a message about escape. He didn't get a message about Rome. He didn't get a message about the Praetorian Guards, and he didn't get the message about politics. He got the message about Jesus Christ. That message of Jesus Christ spread into the Roman house as Rome eventually fell. Eventually down the line, Rome fell, but not without that message. So what'd they do? The Roman Catholic Church eventually was, that's eventually what rose, was the Roman Catholic Church, until it was divorced by a Protestant known as Martin Luther. Martin Luther began the Protestant Church and the Reformation. So you can still see Rome. It's not here the same way. They're not chopping the hands off of actors like, Fellini said. And they're not necessarily, doing the type of orgies where they ate and throw up and stuff, and they'd all gather and do that as the same way. They're not really doing that. People do go to parties and throw up, though. Not in the same exact way. But one person that studied Rome, the modern day Rome, very well was David Lynch. If you watch the David Lynch movies, he'll show you some of Rome. Look at the Black Lodge and the curtains and stuff. There's some of Rome in there. Look at this fort right here. But in order for Rome to fall, they had to knock down they had to knock down the Roman Guard. So they had to figure out the Roman Guard. So what this leads to is Shepherd. So Shepherd Dwight East, who was an a former officer, escapes to Alaska because of Daniel. And Daniel being like possessed by Craig, who Craig is an old friend when he was little, who became a ghost and infected or invaded Daniel, Copex, who was not even part of the Roman Guard. He wasn't even a cop. What he ends up doing is he imitates them, which they don't really care, not to a certain extent, as long as he didn't get in their way. Nowadays, it would be a pretty big deal, but you start to see corruption. So when Shepard returns, it's all fiction. When Shepard returns from Alaska, because they finally realize that Daniel was the serial killer, not Shepard, who's being accused of that by Eternal Affairs, which is Wendy Willows. So he returns back to Fort Worth. Finally, at the end, what's on fire? The whole city's on fire, and who's out? The National Guard's there, and they're not trained the same as cops, because Dog Night Out happens, and Dog Night Out is the second fictional book to the primary book, and that's basically like The Purge. If you ever see The Purge, The Purge is a movie. It's like The Purge, only all the cops are killed in one night. And that's what happens in Dog Night Out, which is the second book. That's whenever Shepard Dwight East hooks up with Dee Dee East. That's his brother. That was a former veteran. And they have to find survival tactics because, well, they both have, the cop names on them. So they got guys like, Christoph Waltz plays the Jew hunter. Well, they have cop hunters. And they do it through, that kind of through the system. So they go in, they say, well, what did a Jew run from? Do you welcome a rodent, or do you welcome a rat? When a rat comes running in to your house, do you treat it with the same hospitality? They do the same thing with the cops. Like if a pig comes running into your house, do you treat the pig with the same hospitality you would, like, let's say, a dog or a cat? That's what Quentin Tarantino was talking about in Pulp Fiction. He talks about a pig. The bacon tastes good. Do you treat a pig the same way you would treat? Well, some might, but they don't have to be a really nice, cleanly pig. Most pigs are slaughtered. That's what Dog Night Out is. We got a cat. He's okay. They can heal after time. The cats represent something, because he has a black cat. Daniel has a black cat that hangs from his rearview mirror. It's all fiction. So he has a black cat that hangs there. What road are we on? We're on this road. You have to understand Daniel too, and also you got to read Thomas Harris stuff and Silence of the Lambs, because I've read a lot of that too. Thomas Harris was an investigative journalist, and he worked in Mexican prisons. He was probably talking about the cartel. Hey, listen, it got so out of hand, the RIB and stuff like that, Revolutionary Independent Branch. It's not a big branch. It's just a few people. But Jesus was just one guy and 12 other guys. They changed the entire history of the world, right? One guy with 12 others. This is less than that. RIB is a small group in Alaska, fictional. Now, what ends up happening is they're not only going to be after to kill and chop the head off of Shepard Dwight East, if they caught him, but they would also kill Dee Dee East. Why? Because Dee Dee is a former Marine. They don't like any of them. It's fictional. But then in that book, right, in that series, which is Dog Night Out, the second book, that's why I conclude all of them. It's RIB, parentheses, or Dog Night Out, parentheses, dash, Shepherds of Alaska is the first story, Shepherds of Alaska. But it's only in the middle of RIB. You got to read RIB from the first chapter. Once you get to like chapter 28, it starts to form into Shepherds of Alaska. Once that concludes in chapter 100 or 110, it'll switch over to just Dog Night Out without the parentheses. That's going to be mostly Shepard Dwight East and his brother Dee Dee East surviving the Holocaust of basically the slaughtering of all the cops, or the pigs. They call them the pigs in it. And there'd be like mentioning of Charlie Manson, all this other kind of craziness and stuff like that, just like there is today on YouTube. So basically that would be the second series. And the National Guard can't stop them because they're being killed by all the militias, drones and stuff like that flying around in the air. They get all sophisticated stuff in backyards and stuff that take off in the air. They start locating these things with computers. And they're not even in the same area that they're doing. They're using like a VPN in Australia or something. It's like all these militias rise up. It gets all well purged and stuff. Got a guy mowing a lawn. What Shepard ends up figuring out, and what Rib kind of knows, the dwarf kind of knows it. He's the genius, the one that created the NE theory, where he eventually can kind of time travel or warp. What they eventually know is that there's like thousands upon thousands of hidden militias that are either unregistered or not even really registered. And for some, act of God probably, reason, they just all freaking Germany and unite, which is what they did with Hitler. Hitler did hook up with kind of like militias that grew bigger into what's known as the SS. And then there were some other groups too that joined. And they just overthrew Germany, killed all the leaders, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I have to study a little bit better, but if I'm not mistaken, he rose up, killed all the leaders, and had a similar symbol to this, but not exactly, because this is faith, hope, love, and charity, right? Which is roughly mentioned in RIP. There's Uncle Sam right over there. Man, thank God for the First Amendment, right? But it's similar, only they don't march all. It's not like all a bunch of marching and things like that. It's just a bunch of slaughtering. There's no talk at that point in Dog Night Out. That's book 2. There's just the National Guard trying to get water. Yeah, I mean, they got big time on them. Surface to air missiles, freaking drones that are like taking off in backyards that were hidden by these militias. And we're not talking 100 militias. We're talking 1,000 militias. Next thing you know, out of Texas and California, the Civil War really is going on, just like with the Kirsten Dunst movie, only it's really happening. And in one freaking night, every pig slaughtered in their bed with their family. It's violent. Dog Night Out is pretty violent. It's a pretty violent fictional horror, you could almost say, to a certain extent. Very much like The Purge. Then an order arises eventually. And that's when we get into the third book, which is Rib only. That's when there's all this time travel and they're going through wormholes and cats are involved. It gets very, very C.S. Lewis. And then there's like the enemy gets in there. Like pretty much like the devil in a way gets in there, and they're all like time travel wormholing. There's these cats that are leading them through this NE series, and they like can disintegrate and regenerate and stuff like that. That's when things get really cool. If you go down Fleming or Roseland, you'll see there's an old couch there right there. You can maybe take that one. But anyway, yeah, the Rib series gets real science fiction. I mean, big time fiction. Boy, they sure like gnomes though, don't they? So Dog Night Out does have some moral aspects to the militia. They don't just kill the cops. Now, eventually they do get to that point. But not at the beginning. They don't do it at the beginning. What they do is they give the homeless people German Shepherds, trained dogs, just to help them. Now, these dogs are trained to attack and to defend them against anybody that tries to hurt them. And eventually, they end up using these trained German Shepherd dogs. But they're overwatched by militia snipers. And who do they snipe? Piggy Poo, for messing with those dogs. That's why it's called Dog Night Out. Then it leads to them slaughtering all of them. Because it starts with the homeless people. And who put them there? Read Rib. And read Dog Night Out, which will be coming out here pretty soon, eventually. Oh, by the way, Shepherds of Alaska is almost completed. So why the dogs? Well, it happened to the dwarf, which is Guy Littleman, also known as Doc Shelby. He had a German Shepherd that he found under a bridge, and he married his wife under a bridge with a homeless pastor that dedicated his life to basically marrying people and helping people and just ministering the word of Jesus Christ on the street, kind of like Sir Oliver Martext in a way, because he marries Touchstone in As You Like It. So he does this, and the minister's not even really just loosely mentioned, but he is married under a bridge, and he does live on the streets with his dog. His dog is killed by a taser prong. So later he seeks revenge, and he starts some of these militias. And then one of the things that they train the other militias to do is, you don't have to do anything. We're not going after, but we're only going after the bad guy. So he trains the militias to give the dogs out to the homeless people for defense. The dogs are highly trained in defense and service dogs, but they're also trained to attack. So if anyone messes with them, then they send the dog to attack. And when the dog attacks to defend its owner from being shackled or going that extra mile, as you could say, then they're sniped by a hidden militia sniper to protect the well-being and the freedom and the liberty of the homeless person. It starts there, is where it starts. And finally, justice is sought, and that's why it begins, or it really ends in a way. Shepherds of Alaska ends with the song Blackened from And Justice for All. It's And Justice for All. So it ends there, and then it begins with the Metallica song too, which is also Justice for All. That's the song that will begin Dog Night Out, which is book 2 of the Rib series. Eventually gets to time travel and stuff that's only known as the Rib series. So it's Rib or parentheses or Dog Night Out, close parentheses, dash Shepherds of Alaska. That's the first novel. Then it gets to the second novel, which is just Dog Night Out. And that's what I'm kind of hitting at right now. So there's a strategy that Doc Shelby uses. So they either leave them alone or they go to war. And if they want to go to war, they lose because they don't have the numbers. They're overthrown because it's the public that's in control. And they understand that. Cheetos. They're actually good. They're like Asian Cheetos. And they taste different. Yeah, they're good. It's sugary, but it's also Cheetos.
That's cool.
Yeah, and this song will be in Dog Night Out. Because one of the guys they mess with, that has a dog, is missing some limbs. the war that Shep sees is his worst nightmare. Okay, so what is the worst nightmare of a cop? It's to go to prison. Why? Because everyone in prison wants to kill him. Exactly. That's what the world has pretty much come when Shep returns. There's a fictional novel story called Rib, or parentheses, or Dog Night Out, close parentheses, Shepherds of Alaska, because it is in the Shepherds of Alaska's fictional novel series. And that's the last thing that he wants to see. Because once he finds out through D.D. East. His brother gets a hold of him. He says, you go back to Fort Worth, then you're a dead man. Right? That's the message. It basically figures it out. It's D.D. East. He goes, you better hide. You better hide because your days are numbered big time there. Right? So he immediately goes to the fields, him and his dog, Buster. So he thought, well, shoot, I can finally leave Alaska because now I'm a just man. Now I can, be respected by society. No, it's the complete opposite. He has to hide. And as the writer says, as it shall be. So the only way that they can get out of this apocalyptic holocaust of all these cops being killed and complete anarchy and chaos is through the cats. So it's going to be through the cats. So the cats will lead them to the wormholes, and then they can time travel and try to patch up certain things. And the number one target will be the dwarf, because he's the one that invented a lot of it. The problem is, if they kill the dwarf, then they're going to be forever trapped in the time that they're in. So they would be trapped in that time, and possibly it could kill them, because their DNA wouldn't coincide with the computer that's involved in their warping with the NE theory. The NE equals dm cubed times the speed of light squared times dm cubed times mass times the speed of light squared. That has to exist, and only the dwarf invented that. So they can't really kill him. So it would create a paradox, and they would disintegrate. It would actually destroy them. So the only thing that they can do really is run, and they can run through wormholes in time and stuff to try to escape it. And they do, because they figure out the cats lead to the wormholes, which are the NE. They travel through the NE. You got to understand what the NE stands for. Now, originally it stands for non-existence, but it also stands for new energy. Right. Huh. So the NE theory is actually a theory. So it's NE stands for non-existence or new energy. It does equal DM. What is DM? It's another way of saying dark mass or dark matter. There's philosophers that can talk about the difference between the two. But that is cubed for a reason. Now, times the speed of light squared is just the light itself. The compound hits it again, times dark mass or dark matter cubed times mass times the speed of light squared, explaining that mass and light are interchangeable. So where did Rib, or the time travel first story, starting to escape from Maine? It does go back to here. That's the apartments I lived in when I got a knock at the door. And I don't know who it was, but I didn't look through the peephole. But it was right there at that house, right, or that apartment right there. I did call the police afterwards. And I asked who it was, and the person said me, and that's where Escape from Maine came out eventually, which is also stand for Escape from Me. Here we go with today's kitty. One kitty with 9 lives. Each cat life has a number. Numbers 1 through 9. Swirl that cat food and pick a cat food. Today's kitty will be having temptations, bites, and gravy. What will tomorrow's kitty be? Well, I got my 50% off at Dominos. Dominos.
Got the pizza? Cool.
Today's kitty is. Today's kitty is. Here it is. It is in. Copyright hit. Popcorn. Good to go. Shrink, what, me. Copyright clear. Copyright clear. That was a hell of an electrical storm that I did not get.
Get it on that thing.
All right, I found out about him tonight. His name is Max Velocity. He's definitely one of the best YouTube emergency broadcasts to go to immediately. He earned 10,000 subscribers in one night, which is tonight. He's got over 1 million. He's approaching 2 million subscribers probably tonight. He probably broke a record tonight. He also received super chats throughout this whole thing. He probably runs a studio from his wherever. I don't know where he's from. He's covering 2 different regions. He's covering the Fort Worth region and this region. He's also covering Arkansas, which is getting hit just as bad. So he's got 2. He's emergency. He's basically this guy, when that's going on. But he can't really see through here. But if you look through there, you'll see he has the countdown. Well, I really wish I could figure out how to, this is the live chat going through. But this yellow right here represents the warnings. The opposite. Severe warnings is what they call it. Sorry, severe warnings. This one represents the actual tornado warning, which those 2 right there are pretty much for a different region. So he's covering 2 different regions. He's got 3 storm chasers, or you can see it from it. There's one of them westbound on different parts of I-35. So he's got a storm chaser going through here. He's got a storm chaser through, and they're all live. This you can also access. But he's got storm chasers that will pop up here, and this is what he sounds like. He also snacks while he does it too. He was snacking on something. I don't know what it was. But he's very against parking under underpasses. I'm a little bit. He's very against it. I understand what the people are going through. There's flash floodings everywhere. We have Kitty over here. I'm dealing with this thing right here, which is basically a different type of technology. Kitty's right here. And we've got that down right there. Hell has hit the door and stuff, but not too bad, but not like it kind of, I was like kind of getting worried there for a little while. And I have to keep that for security reasons. So Anyway, that's Max Velocity's channel. I see if I can get you a little more information on how he spells it and everything. He could be the best there ever was. Let me just try again. Okay, there he is. He's right there. That's one of his channels, and then you can't see through there really. But what you can do is you can go to here to get the channel name, and there he is. Max Velocity. Max Velocity Severe Weather Center. So I've subscribed and went with all. And he's at 1.8 million. This is what he does. He just got a $20 super chat right there. Not too bad.